Let us take a moment to still our hearts, quiet our minds, and center ourselves. Music can name the unnameable and communicate the unknowable. And life without music is unthinkable. Leonard Bernstein. Maria will light the chalice here in the sanctuary. Those of you at home are invited to light your own chalice now. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lit the flame within us and the community. Thank you, Maria. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing with us as big and loud as you like. Make it a joyous experience. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, Morning Has Broken, number 38. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community of Cambria. We are glad you've joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous peoples historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for their opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds, as well as community leaders to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU 7 principles and 6 values: justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. Today's service centers around the 6th principle. We affirm and promote the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. I'll say. My name is Ted Key, and I am your worship associate for this morning's service. I would like to extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you joined us this morning. If you wish, please raise your hand if you would like to introduce yourself or your guest. Anybody would like to introduce somebody? Anybody out in Zoom land? Okay. If you are not on the mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all our activities. Members and friends, please check out what's happening, the e-blast sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. If you wish to see this or any of the past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website and on Facebook. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now recite the UUC affirmation. Love is the spirit of the church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. We set aside this time for brief announcements that will be of interest to our community and friends. Please be succinct when announcing upcoming events or updates. If you have an announcement, please raise your hand when Randy and I call you. Come up to the podium or unmute yourself, then speak. Okay, why don't you come on up, Loris? We'll start with you, and then we'll go with Jan.
So we're looking for 2 people to represent us at GA on Zoom in June, unless you want to fly to Baltimore and be there for 5 days. Okay, so, and we have Kelly T. Van has offered to be one of our delegates, but we're looking for another because we're allowed 2 delegates. And it involves being on Zoom for, if you're just in it for the business meetings, it's about 3 to 4 hours a day. And so we're trying to figure out if we're going to be showing it here in the sanctuary so others could be watching as well. So if you're interested in being a delegate for us, and then you would vote, on the issues that are going on this year, let me know. The other one is Andy is away, right? Andy's away this week, and Wednesday at 4 o'clock, we do the sources of our faith. We read from the book and yak and talk. Okay, thank you.
Happy birthday, Dolores.
Thank you.
75. I'm guessing you all got the email blurb about the Scholarship Society, Scholarship Committee. We reached our goal. It just was phenomenal. $12,000, $10. I want to know what we're going to do with those $10.
Buy you a coffee.
Yeah, thanks. Anyway, we are so grateful, and the service is going to be June 8th. Put it in your book. It's always fabulous, and Rebecca, where are you? Is going to do a fabulous brunch. No pressure, though.
Randy and then Janet. Okay.
All right, good morning. Just final reminder for the service auction that's coming up in late May. Our offerings deadline is this Wednesday, April 30th. So still open for any services that you would like to put into the auction kitty. Thank you.
Okay, so today is the fourth Sunday of the second quarter of 2025 already, and we are collecting for Cambria's Anonymous Neighbors. This is our opportunity to give back as Cambria's Anonymous Neighbors supports us in our efforts with the San Simeon food distribution. So don't forget.
Any other announcements out there in Zoom land, Randy?
None here. Back to you, Ted.
All right. Thank you. Next week, John Massara will present a You and a You, a composite of sermons and personal thoughts. Dogs and cats will be involved. Joys and Concerns is a time for sharing personal celebrations, sorrows, reflections, or gratitude. This is a time for community building. Please exercise brevity. Thank you. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are also deeply felt in this community. The first reading is an interpretive translation of Psalm 98 by Stephen Mitchell. Oh, sing a new song to the eternal. Shout praise, all earth. Break into music and song. Praise the eternal with lyre and song. Let the sea and all within it thunder praise, the world and all its inhabitants. Let rivers clap their hands, let mountains sing in chorus. Oh, sing a new song to the eternal. Let us enter a place of peace and serenity where you are one with your spiritual being. Be at peace within your space, where the absence of all that is temporal is its most cherished gift. Let us enter the stillness. Light, shine in, illuminate our inward view. Help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new sounds that become full symphony. The second reading is a poem titled, There Are Also Musicians, by Michael Cody. Though there are torturers in the world, there are also musicians. Though at this moment men are screaming in prisons, there are jazzmen raising storms of sensuous celebration and orchestras releasing glories of the Spirit. Though the image of God is everywhere defiled, a man in West Clare is playing the concertina. The Sistine Choir is levitating under the dome of St. Peter's and a drunk man on the road is singing for no reason. Please stand in body or spirit and sing When in Our Music, number 36.
When in our music God is glorified, and adoration leaves no room for pride, it is as though the whole creation cried, Alleluia. How often making music we have found a new dimension in the world of sound, as worship moved us to a more profound Alleluia. So has the church in liturgy and song, in faith and love through centuries of wrong, borne witness to the truth in every tongue. Alleluia. Let every instrument be tuned for praise. Let all rejoice who have a voice to raise. And may God give us faith to sing always. Alleluia.
Today's talk is titled, There Are Also Musicians, to be delivered by Ken Reed Brown. Reverend Brown is a minister emeritus, Reverend Ken Reed Brown is a minister emeritus at First Parish in Hingham Old Ship Church, having retired in 2022 after 35 years as minister there. Ken lives in Hingham, Massachusetts, with his wife, Susan. They have 3 grown and married children and 7 grandchildren. Ken earned a BA in philosophy from Haverford College and his Master of Divinity from the Starr King School for the Ministry in Berkeley, California. He currently serves as co-chair of the Interfaith Committee, which organizes the Listening to Other Voices speaker series at Glastonbury Abbey in Hingham, and on the Communications Committee of Elders Climate Action. Ken, please go ahead.
Thank you, Ted. And great thanks to everyone, cutting the top of my head off here, who makes these services possible both in person and online. I've seen and been part of lots of Zoom services, of course, over these last years, and nothing surpasses what you all do. Seamless use of slides and so on. It's really splendid. So thanks everyone. I'll leave names out, so I won't begin. But whoever's today's worship host, Ted, our musicians, Tech, Randy, and I'm sure others. Thanks so much. It is good to be here with you yet again across the coast, across the continent. That is, I think it must be my 7th, 8th, or 9th time, because we started in the first year of the pandemic. I feel like you are my second congregation, my congregation away from home, which is quite lovely. There are a lot of ways to measure time passing. I think the first time I preached here, we had 3 grandchildren. Now we're up to 7, and in another month we're going to be up to 8. I think that might be all, but you never know with these young people. So anyway, good to be with you. Great to be here. Now, several years before I came to my first and final settlement, Old Ship Church, I taught music at a school in a nearby town. We were living in Cambridge, Massachusetts. A lot of you know the geography. Watertown is right nearby. And the school was in Watertown. This school, where I taught music for a few years, was specifically for children and youth who were profoundly autistic. As we know, autism is a spectrum, but these were seriously autistic kids and severely learning disabled kids, others, and youth. Without a doubt, though, as music teacher, I had the best job at the school. But I didn't start out knowing this. When I first arrived at the school, the music program, just an afternoon aid, so for a couple hours, the music program consisted of the students just playing those color-coded xylophones by reading the music that had notes in different colors. It was laborious for them, laborious for me. I was doing what I was told to do. We weren't making music. They weren't making music. Then a moment arrived, kind of epiphany. I was living at the time with a couple of college friends, one of whom, Garrett, after I shared with him about my new job, he was in medical school at the time, so he took a little time from his very busy schedule to listen to my woes, my frustrations with this new job I had. And then he recalled a music teacher that he had had growing up. He grew up in Washington, D.C., and their music teacher was a fellow by the name of John Langstaff. Now, I don't know, there may not be a West Coast phenomenon, but there's something back here called the Christmas Revels. It started at Sanders, I don't know where it started, but in DC, and then Sanders Theater at Harvard. It's an amazing program, and then it morphed into Spring Revels, and his music teacher was this amazing John Langstaff. And what Garrett said about him was that he was inspiring, and Garrett's not a particular musician, he likes music, but he inspired all the kids because he sang for them. And he brought in his, I think it was trumpet that he played, and he played the trumpet, no doubt, beautifully. Now, he was not teaching the music by rote or note by note on color-coded xylophones, far from it. So having told me all that, Garrett suggested that I bring my guitar to the school, which I did. Changed everything. The students began to pay attention, most of them, and they had so many challenges. But before long, they became involved in making real music, each at their own level. The kids who really could, the higher level, academically, cognitively, who could make music by using those xylophones and really know they were playing tunes and so on, they did that. But for others, we clapped, we sang for the kids who could sing, we played drums, danced, and they would strum on my guitar or my banjo. It became quite wonderful over the course of the next 4 years altogether. I think of all the things I've done, I think I did something worth doing those 4 years. Not to mention the fact I met my future wife there at the same time. So it gave birth to a lot of things over the years. In other words, we began to have fun playing music, and whatever else music is, and however it touches us, it's often fun, sometimes fun in a very deep way, speaking to the heart or from the heart deeply, hearts and souls. There's something about music, and you all know this, we all know this, that's fundamental to who we are as human beings. And that second reading, first two lines are beyond poignant, beyond haunting. Though there are torturers in the world, there are also musicians. And the poet doesn't claim that music can stop torture or end war, and it doesn't try to explain what is at first glance, well, at every glance, is an appalling juxtaposition in this world, this juxtaposition of terror and beauty, torturing and music. Simply names what we know to be true. There are torturers in the world and all manner of other horrific things. And there is also music, neither negating the other, coexisting in this world in which we live. Sadly, though, it can be all too easy to dismiss the importance of music when we face so many challenges. There's so much suffering in the world that cries out to be healed, challenges that demand to be met, including these days, so much. But these days, threats to our democracy and the very rule of law upon which our nation is founded. And it can sometimes be all too easy for some to dismiss the importance of music when the generally accepted wisdom, so-called, is that there's a technological solution to every problem. Now, there's a technological solution to a lot of problems. I'm talking to you because of amazing technology, but it's not the whole of life. If we think that tech and math and science, that's everything, engineering, then we might begin to think that the humanities, including music, are nice luxuries that maybe we can't afford. Too many school districts have acted in that way, as we know. But gosh, I remember the look in the eyes of those children. And we got to the point where we were putting on Christmas programs, and the kids participated each as they could. The look in the eyes of many or most of those children, and at those programs, their parents would see their kid, like any other kid, participating in a music program. The look of engagement and pleasure all those decades ago stays with me. Even joy that we saw. Maybe not quite all of them, but I think most, if not all. We could tell, looking, that music made a difference in their lives, far from an expendable autistic. Now, there are challenges by whatever names and diagnoses, which sometimes put people into these little categories there. Some of them were violent. All those challenges remained, but at the same time, music enriched their lives, maybe changed some of their lives. And there's this too. I expect many of you have experienced this. If you've had a loved one or a friend living in assisted living or a nursing home, particularly if they're beginning to be cognitively impaired, decline in that regard. But we see this deep look of tranquility and pleasure that comes over them when a melody from their younger days, or just a beautiful melody comes, or they begin singing. If they don't, they may not be able to speak much, but they start singing when a familiar song comes. It makes it clear as a bell that music is not an expendable luxury for them. The neurologist Oliver Sacks, many of you have read some of his work, he had a book called Musicophilia, our love of music, our attraction to music. In a chapter about this, about the way music remains unimpaired among many who are otherwise impaired, losing their memory. In a chapter filled with one anecdote after another, he illustrates this, how this ability to enjoy and even make music remains. Sacks noted how fundamental and universal music is to being human, and yet how often we trivialize it. When you walk through the supermarket and there's music playing, you might hear it, you might not. Might be a familiar tune, you might like it, but mostly you're not paying attention. We're saturated with music. Or if you're interminably on hold and the music, the quality isn't very good to begin with, the sound quality, and it goes on and on. The only good experience I can remember with hold music was not long ago. I was on hold for something, and the hold music was bluegrass. It was really good. I could have listened for a long time. For better or worse, I didn't. And the person came on the line. But we trivialize music in so many ways in our culture, even though we're saturated with it. Oliver Sacks wrote this in that chapter. He said, for those who are lost in dementia, music is no luxury, but a necessity. A necessity, and can have a power, he wrote, beyond anything else to restore them to themselves and to others, at least for a while. I surely remember this when my mother was in that circumstance. But doesn't music do this for all of us? Don't all the arts have this power? But somehow music in particular, they're not luxuries, but necessities, not in the way that, you can't physically survive without food and water for long, but spiritually, what would the world be like without music? Mary Oliver has a great line, the poet Mary Oliver, you know her, said, what will the world be like without music, without running streams, or without dogs? Yeah. But music for sure. I wouldn't want a life without dogs either, or running streams. Anyway, we know how important music is, restorative, even redemptive for all of us. Haven't we all experienced, one way or another, the saving power, we might not use that word, of music? When I was a camp counselor, even longer ago than I was teaching music, I was 19 years old one of the summers. And I can't remember why. I was having a tough summer. I was kind of down, depressed. I was up in the upstate New York. And one evening, a bunch of us who had the night off went to the Saratoga Center for Performing Arts to hear the band. Most of you remember the rock group, the band. Oh my goodness. Songs that I knew, the songs that I didn't know, the harmonies, the power of the music. I left in an utterly different frame of mind and spirit. Healed, I don't know, inspired, redeemed, call it what you will. I felt a whole lot better after the concert. And sharing it with others, with other counselors, including my brother, who was also my best friend. In more recent years, I've helped many a family plan a memorial service. You've been part of memorial services, I'm sure, most or all of you. And in planning a service, music is, of course, essential. Might be a favorite hymn, might be Amazing Grace, might be Sinatra, might be Lennon-McCartney, whatever it is, but whatever the music that's chosen for a particular reason, it has the power often to bring our dear one a little more closely back into our hearts, even though they're physically not with us any longer. And it helps us who are mourning to begin the process of healing in our grief. This was certainly true for me as I listened to Debussy's Clair de Lune later on in the service, Blue Skies, Blue Skies, nothing but blue skies, two of my mother's favorites that were played at her service. A good case can also be made that music is essential to our lives on larger scales as well, maybe even including the health of our democracy. And Pete Seeger, remember Pete Seeger? He died about 11 years ago. He certainly believed in the transformative power of music for individuals. He sung for kids all the time, but he sung for all kinds of groups. He came to my college, Haverford College. He believed that it was transformative for individuals, for groups, for nations. During the 30s, for the planet for that matter, during the 30s and 40s, he and the Weavers and others sang union songs at union gatherings to inspire the workers and the organizers. Then civil rights, of course, and peace songs in the 60s, 50s, and 60s. And then sailing on the sloop Clearwater and the Hudson River to try to save the Hudson, singing songs that are in celebration of the threatened beauty of this earth we share. But can we imagine the civil rights music? Can we imagine the civil rights movement without "We Shall Overcome"? Song we need now, need once again to sing together, just as civil rights marchers sang it crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge and in so many other places all those decades ago. I was at All Souls Church in New York visiting one of our kids on MLK weekend, so it's the day before the inauguration, and among all the other things that we sang and the words we heard from Dr. King and so on, we sang beautiful sanctuary, maybe 200 people. We sang "We Shall Overcome." I could barely get through it without the tears. It's so important to remind us of the power of community, and singing can do that. Remind us that we're together. But we still need to organize, write letters, march, vote, and music can be the heartbeat of any movement for social change. When it's not, something is lost. Something is lost. Years ago, I don't know, 10 or 15 or so years ago, I was in Washington, D.C. on the Mall for a climate change rally with a bunch of youth and adults from our church. And my old friend Garrett Blanchette, who lived near D.C., he came as well. We stood in the freezing cold, ironically, freezing cold February weather, listened to inspiring speeches, informative speakers. They were good, but there was no music. And we were never invited to sing, which would have warmed us up, among other things, but it also would have inspired, would have helped mobilized us, lifted our spirits. I was grateful that at the recent Hands Off rally in Boston, I don't know how many of you went to rallies out your way, but there was music at Boston City Hall. We were invited to sing. Not a luxury. It makes a difference. It lifted our spirits. It reminded us that we're all in this together as we do what we can. So yes, there are also musicians, and we ought to be mightily grateful that there are also musicians as well as artists of all kind in this world, this country, right here, right where you are this morning. Now, music can be, and sometimes has been used to stir up extreme passions of dangerous nationalism, militarism, dividing rather than uniting. Music is used to encourage us to buy stuff we really don't need. But music mostly uplifts, inspires, heals. It's not incidental that it does this. Each Sunday, here where you are, and just about every house of worship, everywhere of every faith, music enriches worship. A gift, whether, as some would say, a gift from God or the gods and goddesses, as many traditions do affirm, or simply from our human hearts, a gift from our hearts to share with another. When we sing the Psalms, and we heard a contemporary translation of one of the Psalms were originally meant to be sung. Now, some of them were Psalms of joy and praise, as we heard. Others were Psalms of lament, like the other poem. They were not noticing the suffering, the oppressors, and so on, but they were also singing of joy, singing of the blessings and praise. But whatever our theology, whatever we are doing musically in worship, whether listening to or making it, it does have the power to heal our spirits if healing we need, to inspire us if inspiration we need for the days and tasks to come, to remind us and help us feel the unity of our community and indeed of all life. Music, restorative, redemptive, inspiring, returning to ourselves, our fundamental humanity. Just singing together reminds us that we're part of not just whatever community to which we're singing, but part of the chorus of life, echoing the music of the spheres, as some put it, harmonies, harmonious universe like a harp, as one poet once said. The harmony of all life in spite of whatever surface discord, suffering, and violence, which is indeed terrible. Did you know that singing, when we sing together, our heartbeats begin to synchronize? Isn't that a beautiful thought? Probably our brain waves too. We may not, be able to measure it, but we kind of feel it. We feel more together the more we sing together. So yes, indeed, we know of the suffering, the torture, the war, the violence, the injustice in the world. We know of threats to the natural world, the earth, our home, our democracy. And we know that there are things we can and are ethically called to do, which I'm sure all of you do, to meet such challenges. Yet are we not all the better able to meet whatever the challenge in our lives, in our nation, in the world, on the planet, when we've been reminded of who we truly are, often through music, reminded that we are indeed part of one chorus of life, including the birds outside our windows and certainly one another, one chorus of life and love in spite of everything else. And this means all the better able to bring to those around us, to the life we share, measures of healing and harmony as we go about our days. So it is, and so may it always be.
Thank you, Ken. I've heard you speak so many times and always compelling and engaging. We shall overcome.
Yeah, thank you, Ted. Yes, we shall. Rebirth of democracy is just a little ways away, and we're part of it.
Okay. The morning's offering will now be given and received. Please remember we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. Our thanks for all gifts given and received for the work of this community. Please stand, embody your spirit, and sing the closing hymn, How Can I Keep From Singing, number 108.
My life goes on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. When though the darkness round me close, songs of the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, my thoughts to them are winging. When friends like shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. We extinguish the flame of this chalice, and we know that the light of truth and love and the warmth of this community go with us until we meet again. Please extinguish your chalice at home now. Now let us form a circle and join hands. Ken?
As you gather yourselves in a circle, I just want to comment on that closing hymn, which is one of my favorites. And boy, it says really all that needs to be said about the power of music, both real actual music and music as metaphor. When tyrants tremble, sick with fear, oh, you bet, we hear the music singing, the music of a new and better way and world. In that spirit, may our lives be as a song, many songs, healing songs, inspiring songs, songs just to keep us going, songs as blessings. Yes, may our lives be as a song, many songs to share and to sing together, reminding us of who we truly are. All of us together, one chorus of life, all together in harmony, in harmony. So it is, and so may it always be. Peace.